What is the role of design in visual storytelling? Now, storytelling is literally everywhere. It lies in forms of art, books, photography, digital photography, film, or even us just talking with a brew or a pint at the pub.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Yeah, boy!
Perhaps storytelling is part of us as we share stories with each other in our everyday lives, assuring others that we have experiences congruent with theirs.
Boom. Are you looking? Why do I even talk to you guys? Everywhere else that story kills.
That's the whole story?
Design has a subtle, nuanced role in storytelling, but what is that role? Let's break this down a bit. Title sequences are essentially the book covers of the film industry, expressed through design by tons of practitioners dating back all the way back from Saul Bass to Kyle Cooper. Honestly, title sequences didn't really change the game until Saul Bass was hired as lead designer for the title sequence Carmen Jones, and he believed that the importance of a title sequence was to set the mood in a metaphorical way, and that the title was a way of conditioning the audience so that when the film actually began, viewers would already have an emotional resonance with it. Now, personally, I believe this way of thinking stemmed from the idea that in the 1950s, when you went to the cinema, you would have a cartoon, an organ player, a title sequence, and a film culminating into one whole show. Unlike now where we just watch the film and leave like nothing happened.
This guy here?
You know what? He just left.
Anyway, open title sequences are used for preserving that ritual of going to the cinema, and that they are the element of showmanship.
The difference? Showmanship.
These sequences ultimately come together using visual effects, illustrations, photography, even handcrafted elements to fit the setting of the film. And that's what title sequences do. They create the setting. A setting that will help the viewer understand the particular genre and story they are in for. If you've ever watched a film, a TV show, an advert, or even been to the theatre,
Be or not to be. That is the question.
you'll have seen a prop designed left, right and centre, as props are crucial in storytelling. They complement and motivate the character setting the scene, identifying a particular time and place and cultural setting, sometimes even becoming a huge focus of the film. I mean, let's look at Wes Anderson for example. In The Grand Budapest, we can see all types of examples of prop design created and designed by Annie Atkins and her team. And in a lot of these stories, there's an archetype of storytelling known as the herald, the message or messenger that kickstarts the action. Watch a film set in the early 1900s and the hero is handed an urgent telegram. Some centuries earlier, a king throws down a scroll. Whatever from the herald takes, the universal function is to tell the hero that despite their reluctance to upset the status quo, their life will be changed forever. We see this all the time. Take Harry Potter for instance, the letter sending him to Hogwarts, the Marauder's map, the ticket to Platform 9 3/4, and even the fictional school books. These are also known as hero props that spend very little time on camera but make the world we're watching more immersive. Even though it's not quite literally moving like film or props within film, photography is still another way of visual storytelling. In each individual still photo, whether it be people in the streets, road signage, or weather of that particular day, that depicts the story of the setting it holds, capturing the scenery, the moving elements, adding in natural motion blur, creating movement in a still frame of life. I recently reached out to my favourite photographer, Colin Ridgway, and he gladly did an interview for me, which was great until the interview didn't record sound. But he was more than happy to message me how a meaningful story should evoke some sort of emotion, some sort of feeling. If your photo does the same, you have a good photograph. If you don't feel anything when you're looking at a photo, maybe it's not a winner. There needs to be a purpose behind photos you produce, and the driving purpose would be having a good story behind it. You'll know it's a solid story when you feel something, when you're looking at a particular photo that you have taken. Photography in terms of storytelling is basically show don't tell, and what that means is there won't be any visual audio or moving image. It allows the audience to interpret that story however they like, just how they would a film but in a more abstract lens.
So lately I've been wrestling with this idea of show, don't tell within photography, and trying to say as much as we can using just the context in the photo itself, rather than using a caption or a description to kind of help fill in the blanks for that photo. Whereas if you leave it more open-ended by either not titling the image or not giving any kind of context, can that possibly leave the viewer up to basically interpret the photo however they want, and it end up being more powerful because of their own personal experiences and their own personal interpretation?
So we can see that design has a huge but subtle role in storytelling, even though some concepts of design, like title sequences for instance, are not favoured by many filmmakers today, but it still holds a sense of importance to those like David Fincher, John Lickens, Kyle Cooper, Zack Snyder, The Mill, and even George Lucas, as a title sequence acts as a bridge between the outside world and the imagined one in the film, and allows the filmmaker to ease the viewer into the rhythm of their movie. So essentially, after all my research to find out what the role of design is, design creates the immersion of storytelling.
Probably the most greatest story commandment, which is make me care. Please, emotionally, intellectually, aesthetically, just make me care. We all know what it's like to not care. You've gone through hundreds of TV channels, just switching channel after channel, and then suddenly you actually stop on one. It's already halfway over, but something's caught you, and you're drawn in, and you care. That's not by chance, that's by design.